Good morning. My name is Varun Grover, and today I'm recording this video on the topic of security in the contemporary world from the subject political science. So, the content in this video is I will first talk about the purpose of this presentation, then I will talk about the key topics which will be covered in this presentation. So, the purpose of this presentation is to explore the traditional notion of security. There are traditional as well as non-traditional notions of security, but in today's class, I will be covering about the traditional notions of security to understand the state-centric approach. How does country respond to its security, and what is the relevance in today's world? What is the relevance of state-centric approach in today's world? To discuss the challenges and limitation of traditional security framework, I will talk about this also. And the topic that I'm going to cover in today's class is traditional notion of security, state-centric approach, military and defense, internal security, challenges in the traditional security. So let's first try to understand the meaning of security, the concept of security. What do you mean by security? So security, as we all know, is very important, pertinent, crucial for the survival and the stability of states and individuals. Here, this word state, what does this word state means? Here, this word state means basically a political entity or a country which is sovereign in nature, which is having a particular area, and the government which is controlling that area, which is controlling that country, is independent in nature. It is not being controlled from some outside forces. So this is the meaning of state. So security is very essential for survival and stability of state as well as individuals. Security in traditional manner is basically protecting the state from external threat, any external aggression. This traditional notion of security is very much emphasized on the military strength, defense planning, defense strength, and the territorial integrity. The definition of security now includes, it does not only include the traditional, but as well as the non-traditional threats such as terrorism, climate change, pandemics, and cyber attacks. But for today's class, I will be focusing on traditional notions of security. Now, a comprehensive approach to security address what? Both state-centric as well as human-centric concerns. Understanding state is very crucial for addressing the complex challenges faced by nations as well as individuals. So this is what security, understanding of security is so important, because it not only addresses the individual challenges but rather as the complex challenges which the state is facing. Now, effective security strategies require, in today's dynamic environment where so many wars have been taking place, in today's dynamic environment, it state cannot work on their own. Rather, it requires collaboration between government. There are international organizations, civil society, there are defense pacts between the government, strategies, diplomatic initiative. So all these things comes under this effective security strategy. Moving forward, now I will talk about the traditional notion of security. Traditional notion of security basically deals with three aspects. I will discuss in detail each one of aspects in coming slide with the example from global as well as India related current events. So first of all, what do you mean by state centric approach? It, as I was telling earlier, the state centric approach emphasizing the role of the state as the primary actor. Here, the state is a primary actor. Now it focus on what? It focus the state, the country, which is sovereign in nature, which is having its territorial integrity. Basically, it is protecting that state from any external aggression. Now, talking about the second aspect of military power and defense, in the traditional notion of security, a strong military is very important, is very crucial for national defense. Having proper defense planning, having proper allocation for defense, purchase of armaments, you can say indigenous production of defense armaments. All this is very important when it comes to military power and defense, including spending on armed forces and weaponry. This is what indigenous production of armed forces and weaponry. Now, talking about the third aspect of traditional notion of security is internal security. Basically, internal security deals about any internal issues which can be any political, which can be related to any political violence, which can be related to any insurgency. So this is internal security is related to maintaining law and order within the state's borders, within the boundaries. Moving forward, now I will talk in detail about state-centric approach. First, firstly, I will talk about the concept. Then I will talk about the one global example related to state-centric approach. Then I will talk about one India-related example of state-centric approach. Now, talking about state-centric approach, giving you a definition here in state-centric approach, as I was telling earlier, state is the main entity. State is the crucial actor. State is the primary actor who is responsible for the security of the nation. Now, in state-centric approach, territorial integrity is very important, protecting the border and its sovereignty from any external threat. What do you mean by sovereign? Sovereign is basically means that the political government, which is controlling the nation, which is controlling the state, is independent in nature. There is no external force, there is no external entity, or there is no external any other country which is controlling the internal affairs of any country. So this is what sovereign in nature means. Sovereignty, maintaining the state's autonomy and decision making power. Now, what do you mean by primary actor? State as a primary actor, it is the state who will be engaging in alliances, treaties, and defense strategies. If you can see in this picture, you can see the prime ministers of Australia, Japan, India, and the president of USA. Now, this is a quad related meeting. What do you mean by quad? This is a quadrilateral alliance between these four important democracies, between these four important countries, which is an understanding between these four to have a peaceful Indo-Pacific region. The foreign affairs ministers keeps on meeting at a higher level. The head of the government, head of the state keeps on meeting from time to time. Now, giving you a global example related to state-centric approach is Russia-Ukraine conflict. This Russia-Ukraine conflict on a larger scale has started in 2022, although Russia invaded Ukraine or annexed the Crimean region of Ukraine in 2014. But on a larger scale, this war had started in 2022. Now this is involving what? This is involving the territorial dispute, the territorial integrity, the sovereignty of Ukraine, and the military engagement. Now, what is the implication of this Russia-Ukraine conflict? That it is highlighting the state-centric and military-focused approaches to security in the contemporary conflict. Like Russia had invaded at the first instance with the proper defense planning. Now, what Ukraine did? Ukraine again tried to control that aggression, and still the war is going on. So armament is being used by both the countries. Now this war is still ongoing, and both the countries have been helped by outside forces also. As I was telling earlier, no state, even in the times of wars, can act alone. They need collaboration from other countries. Like Russia is being collaborated or is being helped by China, and in the similar manner, Ukraine is being helped or collaborated by Western powers like America, France, Germany, the other powers. They have been Ukraine have been provided with armaments, with financial assistance. Now, talking about India-related example when it comes to state-centric approaches, India-China border dispute. Recently, we have a standoff. Now, this because of the continuous incursions by China in our bordering region, be it Ladakh, Jammu Kashmir, be it Ladakh region, or be it the northeastern Arunachal region, there has been constant incursions. Now, because of that, there is a continuous standoff between Indian and Chinese troops in Galwan Valley and other area of Ladakh. Now, what is the implication of that? The Indian government has increased the military deployment and infrastructural deployment. Now, emphasis has been given on that, although India has been emphasizing on this thing, but after this incursion, now more and more emphasis, more and more deployments have been done in this region. Now, to what? To assert its territorial claim. India is asserting its territorial claim by more and more military deployment. So this is all about state-centric approach. Moving forward, now the second aspect of traditional notion of security talks about military and defense. Military and defense talks about the military capabilities, which is the backbone of the traditional security. The armed forces, the strong military, the strong armed forces, be it the Navy, be it the Air Force, be it the Army. Now, this is the backbone. Now, talking about the defense spending, allocation of significant resources have been made by the countries to enhance the military strength as well as to maintain and to enhance the military strength. Giving you an example, in the global economy, in the global world, USA is the one who spends the most in enhancing their military, enhancing their in maintaining their military strength. Then come China, then come Russia, and India comes on the fourth number. Now, talking about defense planning talks about the tactics, strategies to defend the nation, including the preparation for war and even the development of countermeasures against any potential threats. Like in giving you an example of Russia-Ukraine war, when prior to invading Ukraine, Russia would have made a proper defense planning, and in the similar manner, when Russia invaded Ukraine, then Ukraine would have come up with one countermeasures. That is why that war is still ongoing. Now, talking about nuclear deterrence. Now, nuclear deterrence under military and defense aspect talks about the development and stockpiling of nuclear weapons itself. To what? To deter aggression. Now, there is a school of thought, like since World War II, there is a school of thought which says if you are stockpiling more and more nuclear weapon, then there is a less chances of having an actual war. Now, talking about the another concept of military and defense is defense alliances, forming very important strategic alliances to enhance collective security, like NATO, North Atlantic Treaty Organization. Okay, so this talks about the strategic alliances to enhance collective security. Now, giving you an example of military and defense from the global point of view is AUKUS Defense Pact. This AUKUS Defense Pact is related to three countries, which is United Kingdom, United States, and Australia. It is a security pact among these three nations to enhances their military capability. Now, what is the implication of this AUKUS Defense Pact? It reflects the traditional security concern about maintaining a balance of power in the Indo-Pacific region, and they're trying to enhance influence in this key region in Indo-Pacific and other region. Now, giving you an example of military and defense, which is related to India related, is indigenous defense production. The deployment, now our government for past few years have been spending uh, and have been spending on research aspect, and they are emphasizing on indigenous defense production, like development and deployment of very important Agni 5 missile, Tejas fighter aircraft, and the commissioning of INS Vikrant, first ever indigenous made aircraft, INS Vikrant. So, what is the implication of that? This shows that India is trying to be self-reliant, and India is trying to improve its capabilities, and this reduces that India's dependence on foreign military import, be it from Russia, be it from United States, be it from France, be it from Germany, important countries. Now, moving forward, now the last aspect of traditional notion of security is internal security. This traditional internal security deals with focusing on internal issues, maintaining law and orders within the boundaries, within the state borders, to protect the citizen from any threat which emerges within the borders. It can be any insurgency, it can be any terrorist related issue, or it can be any other forms of political violence. Now, under the internal security, maintaining law and order is extremely crucial. Only then peace and stability will be ensured. Threat can be any insurgency, any rebellious activity, any rebellion which could lead to seceding if they are demanding any secession, terrorist related activity, any political violence. Law enforcement role of police here becomes very important. Role of police and the intelligence agencies in India, intelligence bureau providing intelligence related information internally. Now, this role of police intelligence agencies like IB is very important in combating any internal threat. Now, counterinsurgency, it can be military, it can be non-military strategies to address internal conflict. It can be peaceful also, But if doesn't work, then government will have to resort to the military, will have to resort to the controlling the situation by using armaments, but going through the military way. Now talking, giving you an example which is related to internal security, the global, which is related to the global world is our neighboring countries, from neighboring country Myanmar. Few years ago, we have seen there was a military coup in Myanmar. Coup is basically meaning the illegal grabbing of power by the military from the elected government. Now, this military coup in Myanmar has further led to the crackdown on the peaceful protesters and any opposition to this military coup. Now, what was the implication of this military coup, of this political instability in Myanmar? That it demonstrate how internal security issue can. We have seen how this issue could lead to the political instability and human rights concerns. Like there was this crackdown by the military on the peaceful protesters, so there was human right violation, there was political instability. Now giving you India related example is Naxalite insurgency, ongoing operation. This the issue, the problem of Naxalism, which is there in India for past so many decades. This now there is this ongoing operation against Naxalite groups in the state like Chhattisgarh, Jharkhand, and Odisha. Now, what is the implication of this ongoing operation? The government multi-pronged strategy include security operation, development initiative, and rehabilitation program for the affected areas. Now, government is not only focusing on the military aspect, or you can say going on the hard way. Rather, government is also giving an opportunity to the Naxals by surrendering and by joining the mainstream. And what had happened in the past few years, many Naxals have surrendered voluntarily and they have joined the mainstream. Now moving forward, what are the challenges? We have discussed about the traditional security, three aspects related to the traditional notions of security. Now what are the challenges which is related to the traditional security? One is the arms race, which is basically competition among the states itself to acquire more and more weapons, state versus non-state actor. Now there is the issue of terrorist groups, which is impacting the security of the region. It is very important. It is getting very difficult in addressing threats which is being posed by the terrorist group, because they don't follow any particular characteristic, particular criteria. Now talking about the technological advancement, emerging technologies like cyber warfare, usage of AI in military operation. Now these are also posing security challenges. Now globalization. Now there is increased interconnectedness, which is further complicating traditional security dynamics. Now, giving you an example from the global arena, AI in warfare, the usage of artificial intelligence in warfare, emerging technologies like artificial intelligence. Now they are being used in military operation, like the autonomous, you can say autonomous drones and AI-driven cyber operation. Now this is raising concern for the securities of the nation, like such important drones, such important operation are being run by the AI tools rather than by any human centric approach. Now this is posing threat. Now what is the implication? This more and more usage of AI in warfare introducing unknown risk. They were not known earlier because this is an emerging technology. Now new risk and uncertainties have been coming up. Now this is including potential for autonomous weapon to make life and death decision without any, as I was telling earlier, without any human oversight. Now decisions are being taken by the technologies. Now what is required? The requirement is of regulation by international authorities. Now there is an international requirement of international regulation, and there has to be some ethical guidelines to manage these operations. Now talking about India related operation, India related example, impact of COVID-19. We have seen the menace of COVID-19, how COVID-19 had impacted the global economy. It had impacted the security of so many nations. India was also affected adversely by COVID-19. India faced significant challenges in managing its health crisis. Economic disruption was there, and India's health infrastructure was totally affected. Now, what was the implication of COVID-19? The pandemic emphasized that there is now a need to a more global cooperation in managing such health crisis, and also for the supply chain resilience. As supply chain was totally impacted, now there has to be some global cooperation so that supply chain should not be impacted, because it impacts the total global economy. It has also demonstrated, if in future if there is going to be any such pandemic, then there has to be preparation beforehand for any such future global challenges. So, while concluding the topic, I can say that the traditional notion of security, which I have talked in detail, the three traditional notion of security as well as the challenges. Now, this traditional notion of security, it's centered on military defense and the state sovereignty. It remained important. It is important. The traditional notion of security is important, but it has to be complemented by broader, more inclusive approaches. As new challenges emerge, it can be related to environment, it can be related to any digital threat, and the one which addresses the human will be essential for ensuring comprehensive protection and stability. So integrating traditional security with strategies that is not only addressing the traditional aspect but the new emerging challenges also, which is impacting human, which is impacting environment now, and the digital threat also. Now it is also essential for ensuring comprehensive protection and stability. Thank you very much.